Hey, welcome everyone to this week's interview with Karl Frye. We're here and our series is called 5 with Rob, and we're supporting our local business owners and residents of McDowell Mountain Ranch. How you doing today, Karl?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Awesome. Good to hear. It's a great Wednesday over here on our end.
Yeah.
And yeah, great. So Karl owns the Karl Frye Practice Sales and Healthcare Real Estate. So we want to interview. You guys all know the drill. 5 questions. We want to learn more about Karl and his business, and hopefully you'll like what you hear and give him a call in the future to help out with all your sales and purchases of the healthcare related businesses. So Karl, everyone's from somewhere else. So let me know where you came from and when did you come here to Scottsdale?
Sure. I grew up in Chicago, then moved to Oregon for college, ended up down in Southern California after that. Did a little stint in Japan where I taught English, but met my wife, started doing healthcare business banking and lending and helping my customers were all dentists, vets, medical professionals in Southern California. Did that for a little over a decade and then moved here in 2014. I was actually brought out by the bank I was working with to oversee the state for their healthcare division. And then reason I kind of came here was I had family. My sister and my brother lived up in 𝐒𝐩𝐸𝐯𝐿 and DC Ranch area. My parents were snowbirds down in Mesa. So got the opportunity to move here for work and also had family here. Plus Southern California was just getting to be too much. It's just a crazy environment. So we thought this would be a better place for us to raise our kids. So I have 2 daughters, my wife and I here and our 2 daughters in Scottsdale in 2014. And yeah, that's kind of how I came here and love it. You know, it gets toasty in the summer, but other than that, there isn't a better place to be.
All good, all good. Yes, I'm right there with you. We're here all summer, each summer. And you know what? You walk your dog at night and you play golf early in the morning and you go about and do your regular stuff. So in the air conditioning.
Cool. Yeah.
All good. So you had options and you picked McDowell Mountain Ranch. Loved when we beat out the DC Ranch and 𝐒𝐲𝐸𝐸 areas. So what was it? What was the draw for McDowell compared to other areas here in the valley?
You know, my wife loved it. We loved being right on the footstep of the McDowells. There's so much to do as far as, you know, getting out and hiking and, you know, running and doing trails and all the things you can do with your family here. Plus it's convenient. I mean, once again, coming from Southern California, if I can get to the airport in 25 minutes or I can get down, I can go have a great steak and 10 minutes away or, you know, a good meal, and you get such a vast array of great restaurants. So we just loved it. It was really convenient. We loved the community. We loved the people. It kind of really was fitting into where we were at when we moved here and where we're at now as far as our life path and our life plan and just where we were at with our families, and they were growing up. We met some great families. We were renting here when we first moved, and then, you know, 2 years later, we ended up buying in the same community. So we just loved it. We wanted to set our roots here and love the people and the families, and it really just fits on what we're looking for and kind of how we want to raise our family and grow.
Perfect. Excellent. So you went on your own about a year ago?
Back in 2017.
2017. Oh, wow. 3 years now. Time flies.
Yeah.
I've known you for a couple of years. You're in a network group of mine, which I want to introduce to the audience. The McDowell Business Network meets once a month when there's no COVID, and we do it online right now. But if anyone's interested, get in touch with me. I can tell you more about it. We do things a little differently. We meet once a month in the evening, and we're just looking to create an environment where we can refer business out to each other and get to know each other. So that's how I met you a couple of years back. You've worked with clients of mine. You've done a great job for them. I wanted to get you on here. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you offer for everyone?
Sure. Yeah. So it's Frye Practice Sales and Healthcare Real Estate. So what we do is we help facilitate the brokerage of the sale of the medical practice. A lot of it's dental, vet, but we do all the verticals of healthcare market. And within that, so we're helping the seller sell to a new buyer or to a group or to whatever the case may be. Within that, there's typically a real estate component that needs to be taken care of too, be it a sale of the real estate, a lease in place, or if someone is renewing a lease. All those items we help on, where we're helping kind of make that facilitation happen from seller to buyer, going out and helping the seller locate a good buyer or a good group, or, you know, maybe they're exiting and want to sell their patient list. There's lots of different ways that you can get it done. So we help from that perspective in the brokerage of the sale of the practice, as well as also the brokerage on the commercial real estate piece. So we've worked together. I've helped some of your clients out on lease negotiations when they wanted to get into a new spot, things like that. I can always be a part of, as well as also obviously the sale of the business itself. And what kind of sets me apart a little bit is I was a healthcare banker for a decade plus, and I don't know if anybody else that has that background. So I have the finance components burned into my brain. I'll never forget it because I did it for so long. But it's a little different because I know how it's going to get done. I know if you need lenders, which lenders are going to get it done, which ones are not going to get done. So it saves a lot of time just because I've navigated that for so long. It's old hat to me, and I know all those people, so I can make sure that it gets done and that we're in the right hands, because there's going to be lenders and individuals that just don't know how to do this type of lending. So rather than kind of go down that path and waste a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for someone to tell you no, I can pretty much sum that up in about a 45-minute conversation. So
nice.
That's kind of what sets me apart a little differently.
Are you looking at the books? Are you, are you giving it to an accountant? Is that something you do?
No, I do all that. I mean, my credit background, that's all I was doing within the lending industry, was to figure out, is this a bankable deal? Is there net cash flow in there for the buyer to be able to buy the business, pay their debt service, and then also have money to live off of afterwards? So I'm going in and really doing adjusted net incomes, putting those presentations together to show a buyer or a group or what have you, what the true net income of this practice might look like should someone buy it. And then, there's always, items that in small businesses or any type of business, there's items that get passed through typically. So we're going back and kind of really getting in there and getting into the books to figure out what true value or what true expenses really come in with the seller, and then will be happening with the new buyer, or are there items that will not be there, one-time items, things like that. So yeah, a myriad of stuff, but definitely going through the books and working in conjunction typically with their CPAs or their attorneys or what have you, to get the deal done for them.
Excellent. Well, can you share with us a story over your years of experience where you saved the day, exceeded clients' expectations? You got something for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably pretty cliche, but I mean, really, any time that we get a deal done, there is a very happy party. If it's a dentist getting the office of his or her dreams, great. If it's the veterinarian that's, I don't want to practice medicine anymore, I want to retire, great. If it's the same, a dentist or a vet that say, hey, I want to practice for another 5 to 10 years, but I just want to remove the management aspect off my shoulders. I don't want to do that. I just want to show up, do dentistry, do vet, whatever the case may be, right, and go home. Then we can help them in the capacity here. Arizona is a unique state where, I mean, Rob, you and I could go buy a dental practice or a vet practice and, operate it. We don't need to be a physician to do so. Wow. So there's a lot of different options within the state of Arizona and a few other states in the nation that allow that. So typically, I mean, anytime that we are getting a transaction done, there's going to be a very happy party. If it's the tenant getting the new space that they love, if they've gone from 2,000 square feet and now they've expanded to 4,000, they have all the bells and whistles, they have the, the beautiful, space that they wanted, great. If someone is now being able to retire or set that glide path for retirement, they're very excited about that. So there's always going to be a good exit or ending to our deals when they come to fruition. So
good to hear. Do you have, you typically have your ear to the ground? You probably have a couple pocket deals or,
yeah, no, I mean, I always work with I'm in contact with buyers of varying sorts, be it from an individual who just graduated to an individual who wants to buy a second or a third office, to now within the marketplace we're seeing now there's lots of groups and what they call DSOs and what have you that are going out and buying multiple offices. So I know all those people, and I know when someone calls me, I can pretty much ascertain the routes we're going to go and what their value is going to look like, and kind of set them in the right place. Now we'll also market it so that people that we don't currently know will have a chance to see it too. But definitely there's a lot of contacts that I have that I know exactly what they want, so that if someone calls me and says, hey, I want to sell this office, I go, okay, great. I know A, B, C, D, E of people or groups that would likely have interest in looking at it. So yeah, definitely lots of that. I mean, it's a small niche market, just like most. Once you get into it, it's kind of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon in some way, shape, or form.
Bacon. So we're about 4 months into COVID, and have you seen a change in valuations of businesses? Have they been hurt? I mean, everything was kind of frothy in January, December, February with the real estate market. We took a hit short term for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We're back up to where we were before. What about the business transactions, the values of businesses? And then again, second part of the question, are you doing anything differently? You probably work from home most of the time, but is there anything different you're doing right now during COVID?
I think the only thing different is now I have multiple fellow co-workers, if you want to call them that.
Helpers.
69 years old, and yeah, seem to be very loud and running around the entire time. But no, I've worked from home for a number of years, so it's not, that hasn't changed for me as much. What's changed for me is I don't have right now, I'm not going out and getting into as many offices as I typically would. I'm not doing as much knocking on the door type of, face-to-face interaction. A lot of it's more over the phone or email, what have you, and just kind of, that's really the big change for me, because I'm more of a hands-on, face-to-face type of individual when I'm doing a lot of my meetings. So that's really the big change. From a valuation standpoint, that's changing just because now when we look at an entire calendar year, or we'd look at the last 6 months, do a look back of the P&L from June 30th. Well, that's going to look really different this year than a previous year. So what it's doing, it's changing our parameters of what we're looking at from a time frame. And then we're taking that into consideration. I mean, dental practices were closed for the month of May, for the month of April, pretty much. They were open for elective. There was no elective stuff being done. So May 1st, they allowed them to go back into doing elective surgeries. But April was strictly emergencies only. So that 6-week period, hygiene wasn't getting done. So there was a lot of buildup for many of these practices in the dental arena that were waiting for people to come back. So you've seen a bum rush of people to get dentistry done in June and July. So the numbers are going back up. So it's kind of like a pendulum. You have a buyer that says, oh, well, you should value something less because they were down for this. And you're like, well, should we value it higher because then June and July were so phenomenal? So there's still, I think, we're not quite to a point yet of where you have a true line in the sand of this is what it should be. I think there's a lot of just differential depending upon the practice, because some practices simply closed their doors. Some kept open and saw patients in an emergency role. Some of them went May 1st back to doing all their procedures. So they're all different. And then also you have the differing levels of the practitioner's health, their age, all those items that are causing them to say, hey, I'm 35 and I'm young, I'm going back in, I'm doing everything. Or you have, hey, I'm 65 and I'm not really comfortable going back yet. So it's just the speed to jumping back in and getting things moving. That's been the change. And then also really, I mean, you have anything from a general practitioner to someone who's a specialist. So those items could have changed too, because maybe they're a specialist doing only elective cases. If they can't do any work, they're kind of, can't really do anything. So there's little differences and nuances to it, but really the main thing is just the changing of the time periods we're looking at to really understand our valuations and really what's the go forward plan with the seller or with the space itself.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Everyone out there, it just happened to me. My dentist sold their business. They didn't ask permission. They just did it. I didn't even receive an email. I went in there. There was a new doctor, new name. I won't name names, but everyone do Karl a favor. Next time you're at your doctor's office, dentist, I ask them if they're thinking about selling their business, and then give the referral to Karl. So
Give me a
help him out. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it, and go get him. Have a great day.
Yep. Take care.
Okay, take care.